To watch this season and to see Javin be the villain only to get to the reunion and see that these three were the actual villains is wicked work. Chris Colleen with your raggedy ass during Black Women's. What was this Love is Blind reunion UK Black Women's Month? Dancing in September, Black Women's Month.
VBS, I just turn the water on. Big old flex, shit you never saw before. These niggas chasing me like waterfalls. Keeping on my truck, look like bricks.
What's up, y'all? It's your sister, Jessie Woo. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure that you subscribe, so you can join the Black Women's Tribe during Black Women's Dancing in September, Black Women's Month, okay? During Black Women's, what was this Love is Blind UK reunion Black Women's Month? Okay, we have a lot to get to. But again, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you like this video, share it with a friend. I know I'm late, but if you are a subscriber, okay, you do know that I've had 2 interviews with 2 cast members. We had Anu and we also had Javin come on the channel. So if you haven't watched those interviews, please go watch those interviews as soon as you can. Shout out to my members because they get the interviews first. You all do know that I have one more Love is Blind guest coming through. If you're a member, you know, and you guys have been submitting your questions for that guest. So I'm really excited. So that's a little surprise that I have for the members. If you want to become a member, go ahead and join. The link is in the description. Or if you're on my channel, sometimes there should be something that there should be like a message that pops up and asks you to join. But anyway, let's get into this Love is Blind reunion because I don't understand. I don't understand. Moi, pas comprendre. Pas comprendre du tout. Du tout. If I could summarize this Love is Blind UK reunion in one sentence, it would basically be, y'all could have said no. It would basically be, y'all could have said no. Okay?
I do not.
One thing about it, y'all know I'm gonna drag Chris Colleen's raggedy ass every chance I get. But let's make one thing clear. No one is holding a pew to your head at the altar and requiring you to say yes. And you know what? I have updated views on Love is Blind, especially like after watching this particular season and watching the Javin and Katisha of it all. I honestly have a new outlook in the sense that I don't think that anybody is wasting anybody's time. I don't. I think a lot of people go into this experience and waste their own time. When you are not paying attention to the words that are coming out of someone's mouth, you have got to take accountability for the fact that you are looking at everything through rose-colored glasses. You are not listening. You are not paying attention. You are just being a bobblehead, and that's for the women and men. There have been men in this experience. I remember years ago, Marshall and Jackie. Y'all know I'm a big Marshall fan. But when I looked at Marshall, sometimes I was just like, okay, do you hear the words coming out of Jackie's mouth? Like she was a total a-hole. But the words that were coming out of her mouth, her actions, we have to have more awareness, self-awareness, as well as awareness of how other people are talking to us and how other people are treating us. And after a certain point, you got to take accountability for the fact that, you know what, Katisha, bruh, the lights were not on upstairs. Here's where I think people waste folks' time, is getting to the altar and saying yes when you know that is not what you want to do. Some of y'all are going to disagree with what I'm about to say, but y'all know I gave Clay and his missing side tooth hell for what he did in his season. But one thing I always gave him props for was the fact that when he got to the altar, he said no. He said no. Instead of continuing to be a menace, He said no, and he cut it short there. We have to understand too, like, as raggedy as Chris Colleen is, and as raggedy as, you know, the structure of this show is as a whole, Love is Blind, this is a business, okay? These people are on a television show, and this show is a business. There is a structure to it. And before the cameras go up, there is contracts that are given out. There are rules and regulations that are understood. And so instead of me looking at it as, okay, some of these participants are clearly wasting people's times, I'm choosing to look at it as, you know what? Some of y'all are wasting people's times because you know you don't want no damn marriage, but they're going through the process. They're going through the process. However, comma, going through the process, knowing that you don't want to get married, getting down to the altar and saying yes. And saying yes is diabolical. That is terrorist behavior. You are a terror. You are a terror to do that. This is marriage at the end of the day. Okay, these cameras are going to go off. You're going to go home with this person. You know you don't want to get married. Cal, you knew you did not want to get married.
It's all up here.
Billy, you knew you did not want to get married. Jed, we're going to get to Jed in a minute. But to watch this season and to see Javin be the villain only to get to the reunion and see that these three were the actual villains is wicked work. And I have so many thoughts about that, just the undertones in that. And I know some of y'all gonna try, oh, everything is not about race. It is. Everything is about race. Everything is about race. It is. It is. Because clearly there were a lot of things that were left on the cutting room floor when it came to these men. But only one person was painted out to be like an extreme villain. An extreme villain. I have so many thoughts about that. And we do talk about that in my interview with Javin. So again, if you want to watch it, the link is going to be in the description for you. Before I start dissecting the reunion, I was looking at a lot of the cast interviews that were posted post the reunion, right? So there was this one interview where I guess Barta said in one interview that she felt that Jed had just gone on the show to make money.
Barta says that one of the comments you made was about how much money you would make from Love is Blind when the season aired. What? Do any of you feel that there were maybe other reasons that you came on the show other than looking for love?
2 seconds.
The whole time that we spent together after filming was just, when this comes out and I make some money, you know, it was never about love. It was never about us actually building a future and planning a family like we talked about.
And Jed goes on to refute that. And to be honest, like, we're going to talk about Jed and Barta in a moment, but Barta, girl, you, we're going to get to you in a minute. But anyway, as you know, he's addressing what Barta said. You have Cal who comes in and says this.
We're all fully aware we're on a reality TV dating show. No one's ended up on there by accident. And also, all the girls applied and all the lads got reached out to. So in a way, they've sorted out. In a way, the universe has brought it to us.
So basically, none of the men applied for this. This season of Love is Blind UK was filled with men who were all reached out to, right? Now, this is not news in a sense where we know that there have been plenty of seasons where Love is Blind and them are reaching out to people through their DMs. They're reaching out to people through their LinkedIn, you know, and they're giving them this rigorous process in their DM. Shout out to Chelsea, Kwame's wife. You know, it's a rigorous process, child. But so we're not strangers. We're not new to knowing these details of the fact that they're not really doing much vetting as we would like to think that they're doing when they're picking these people for the show. But I want you to pay attention to the fact that he said that all the men were reached out to, all the women applied. Now, see, that I have a huge problem with. I have a huge problem with that. If you watch my interview with Anu revealed that she applied for the show. And when we were talking about it, I kind of was shook by that because I'm like, I wouldn't expect her, especially like just her, the way she looks, the way, like just her career. I would have thought that they had reached out to her. But no, she revealed to me that she also applied. She applied for the show. And I was shook by that. So now listening to Cal confirm that all the women applied, meanwhile, all the men were reached out to, what kind of landscape are you creating with that? Basically, all these women were dead set and dead serious about finding husbands. Meanwhile, you have the men going into this experience like, all right, well, let me just go ahead on this show then. Like, not really looking for a wife for real, for real. They just here for the vibes. They're just here for the cameras. Like, remember there was a couple seasons ago where Nick Lachey tried to, well, I think it was Clay's season where there was one of the contestants that was caught telling his girlfriend to act like he was single or say, hey, I'm going on the show. I love you, but I'm just going on the show for the cameras, for the fame. And Nick Lachey was like, so you just came here for the fame? Duh, that's the setup. That's why, like, when people now say, oh, such and such went on the show for fame, I don't think that that's a read because that's literally the setup, especially for the men. So basically, the setup that you have is these men going into this process with the mindset of we're here for these begging ass women. All these women beg to be here. We're the prize. We're the prize. They're not. They begged to be here. They applied. They clawed and clenched their ways into these pods, and we were begged to be here. So these women went out of their way to meet a bunch of men who were begged to be here for marriage. And then you have to think about it too. In this process, you're going to have people who get engaged, two women who they felt begged to be here. They're going to go home with these women. They're going to sleep with these women. They're going to meet these women's family members, friends, co-workers. They're going to intertwine their lives with women who begged to be in this process. Meanwhile, the men were begged to be here. The imbalance in that landscape, like, we have got to just take a moment and think about just how nasty that is. That is wicked work. That is wicked, nasty work. Now, I could see if everybody was asked to be here. But the fact that the men were basically begged to be there for a bunch of women who are crying out for marriage, nasty, wicked work. So let's get into the reunion. I'm watching the reunion. Things are great. I'm thinking this is cool. Like, I'm seeing how the couples are all sitting next to each other. Everybody looks happy for the most part. We first get to Cal and Rover, and we get this package of basically their last year of marriage. And so it seems.
Almost tripped over.
Again.
How does it compare to your supercar?
You know what? Just as exhilarating.
Cal doesn't wear matching Christmas pajamas.
It's pretty funny.
But then lo and behold and lo, you're ensemble.
How's the first year of married life been?
What married life?
You're ensemble. Lo and behold and lo, you're ensemble.
I fell in love with a guy who basically I thought made me feel seen, made me feel loved. And 3 months later, he walked away.
You're pas marié. So basically, Rover lets us know that within, I guess, a couple months of being together, and I guess like at the top of the year, Cal came to her and told her that, hey, like, this is over. It wasn't really much of a conversation.
Very coldly, by the way, no emotion whatsoever, not an ounce of anything, that it's over. And He's made the decision for both of us.
It wasn't really much of a back and forth. It was a, hey, I gave this a try. You did nothing wrong.
Well, there was no spark. We're very different people. One is I'm more emotional and affectionate. And that's that.
This just isn't for me. You know, being committed is not for me. And yeah, this is the end of the road for me. That's that on that. I'm shocked. I am shocked watching this because what? The way this man went out of his way to pay tribute to Sarovar's Indian heritage, the whole Pakistani and Indian thing, the whole we're not going to allow our cultures to dictate our love. Like, why do that? Why do that? Even down to the wedding. Even down to the wedding, the way that they incorporated their heritage, their cultures. You bringing in her family members into this. You're agreeing to prolong this when you could have just said no at the altar. And then what was so off-putting to me, aside from Sarovar's recounting of how they broke up, it was Cal's demeanor. Like, who is this guy?
Physical and emotional. You wanted more from me. I couldn't give more.
Who is this guy?
Why do you feel like you couldn't give more, Cal?
Because I already thought I was giving enough. Look, when you've seen the show.
Who is this man? This cold and icy man. We did not see this man on the show. And something tells me that production saw it and they decided not to show it because they had a story to tell. Chris Colleen with your raggedy ass during Black Women's. What was this Love is Blind reunion UK Black Women's Month? Dancing in September, Black Women's Month. There's no way y'all didn't see this man's character. There's just no absolute way. Okay? The whole comment that he made about, oh, well, you know, I even took you on a trip. I took you on another honeymoon with my money.
We had some disagreements on the honeymoon. That was on the last day before.
That was in October, by the way, guys.
Right. Oh, sorry for booking you a 5-star honeymoon off my own back.
Excuse me, sir. Is that not what you're supposed to do for your wife? Like, what is this? Like, so you want a cookie for spending money on your wife? Be for fucking real. And then her mom being there and just the way he had no remorse for her mom, like, or to her mom for how he treated her daughter. Like, it's just, I don't know, bro. Like, I was shocked. I was shocked watching this. But then I remembered just a couple things from the actual season. So remember, going back into the season, remember when they first were at the honeymoon that the show takes you on? When they, I believe I can't remember whether he had first said this in the pods or first said it at the honeymoon. I think it was first at the honeymoon where he told Sarovar, hey, like, my type is actually, you know, blonde white women, blue-eyed, blonde white women. That is my type.
I've always been with white British girls before. Blonde hair, light eyes. Obviously, it's never worked. And yeah, I'm glad you wasn't my type.
And I remember her, you know, sharing her qualms about that. But we never saw them address that again. So I think, like, as a viewer watching the show, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they just made peace with that, you know, that. And he did keep saying, listen, like, I'm trying something different. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. He always had great things to say about Sarovar. So to me, it just made it seem as though, like, he was really, like, taking this process seriously and taking a chance on someone who's really good for him, aside from, instead of always going for his type, our types are not always good for us. So I thought that was his approach. But then even just thinking about that, thinking about how Cal was all up in Katisha and Javin's business, when the whole time you didn't even like this girl. You didn't like her. She wasn't your type. And you know what? That's why it's so important. Even for me as a dark-skinned girl, I talk about this all the time, especially when we're talking about these dating shows. When a man tells you that his type is not you, especially like as a dark-skinned Black woman, I cannot be with a man whose type is not a dark-skinned Black woman. I cannot be with that. I cannot do that. Because a lot of times somebody's type does not change. My type has always been the same. Tall, dark skin, Black. Okay? And I will skip over a light-skinned man and go straight outside my race. Because light-skinned men are just not my type. They're not. Light-skinned men to me they tend to have a lot of anti-dark skin thing about them. It's just, I've been through a lot. It's a lot of colorism there. I don't got the time for it. That's just not my type. Not my type. So when a man tells you as an Indian woman that his type is, white, blonde women, what is the chance of that changing? Especially like within the Pakistani culture or the Indian cultures. We know about caste systems. We know that colorism exists even in those cultures as well. So what are the chances of that changing? There was also the moment with Cal and his brother. I can't remember what episode it was, but remember when he took Sarover to meet his mom and his grandma. Even his mom made a comment about how, this is the first time ever that this man has ever brought something serious to me as far as a relationship is concerned. I felt like that was a little alarming to me too. But when he talked to his brother, and his brother was like, yeah, no.
You've had a lot of girls, but never that many long-term relationships. Yeah. She's not your usual type either.
Relationships are not for him. He is dedicated to his routine, and anything that disrupts that disrupts him.
If my life was on it, I'd say no. I know what Cal's like. He's difficult to please. He very much loves his own space and very routine.
He's very self-centered. He's all about self. It's all about me, 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 me. He's very much on his Maya shit. It's all about me, 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 me. He doesn't see his brother being in a relationship. Anytime that his brother has even tried to be in a relationship, it always ends abruptly. His brother said it. His brother even said, I do not see this lasting. Okay? So that was another red flag for me as a viewer. At this reunion, Cal does bring up the whole commitment. I'm not a commitment guy. You could have just said no, bro.
I do not.
You could have just said no at the altar. Nobody was forcing you to say yes. You could have just said no. Why do all of this? Why take that girl through all of this and just abruptly end it? Like, not even try.
I saw me in love, and I saw...
And you don't think I was? You think I can fake that?
I actually wanted to ask you that tonight. Were you actually in love with me?
100%.
So basically, you were trying for the process to look good on camera. But outside of the process, there's no trying. There's no therapy. There's no, you didn't even give it a proper go. Then we get to Billy and Ashley. What the hell was this?
Guys, are you still together?
Unfortunately, sadly to say, we're not together.
So we basically find out, just like Rover and Cal, that Billy ended things with Ashley within a couple months too, within 3 months.
The relationships kind of ended at around the same time, right?
And there was a very similar script.
So can I...
Of messages delivered to us both.
Yeah.
Basically, him and Cal broke up with Rover and Ashley at the top of the year or before the year. I want to say before the year started so they could both start their year off clean. And from what it seems like, they both had the same kind of script, basically, like said the same things in the same way. And it basically came off as though they consulted each other and held hands with each other while breaking. Yo.
I confided in Sir Over saying, you won't believe what's happened to me. Oh, what was the words used? The exact same, very similar.
I can't even get through like, it's so ridiculous. These are grown-ass men.
It's the coincidence of it.
It's a coincidence. Coincidence happen in life.
I don't think it's.
Do you not admit to me? It's very odd, the timing for you both.
Mind you, Billy, I think is like, what, 33 or something like? You look like you're 57. Grown-ass man. And this is how you're acting? When you could have just said no to this lady?
I do not.
You could have just said no. You could have just said no. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And then Billy, too, just had the nastiest attitude.
And I says, okay, come up to me or I'll meet you halfway. I was compromising, funny enough.
What, in a petrol gouge at McDonald's talking about our marriage?
Like, oh my gosh. Billy was so sweet and so kind during the season, like how he was portrayed. But then you get to the reunion and this is how he's talking to Ashley.
What those words? Disagree then, because I know what we were talking about. I was there too, you know. You can spin this story all you want, but I was there too.
I'm not spinning it. I'm speaking the truth.
Yeah, your truth.
Like, kind of basically telling her to shut up.
I wish he was braver. I wish he was in touch with his emotions.
Hindsight's
Let me finish.
Oh, by the time you've done some talking.
And
talking all night. Give me a chance.
Now, I mean, listen, both parties should have the chance to convey their experience. So, yeah, give him a chance to speak, but bro, you wasted her fucking time. And when we go back in the season, this is another couple who there were a lot of red flags about. You know, in my first couple reviews, I said the whole job thing. The way this man told her he did not want to be with someone who was cast and crew. And in my review, I said I felt like my sister was begging a little bit because when he said that and he had all his reasoning and he said that he had dated someone who was a cabin and crew member and how things did not work out for that and how he did not want to go through that again, but how she was like, no, look, like, you're the one for me. I'm the one for you. We can make this work. It just felt like she was going out of her way to convince him. And I didn't like that. I felt like the fight was more so coming from her than from him. But then in the episode where she goes to meet his dad, we're in that episode. And what did his dad say?
One of his parting words the night before was, I'll be all right as long as there's no air stewardesses on it. I will be fine. If there's air stewardesses on it, I'll be back next week.
The night before my son went on this show, he said to me, as long as it ain't no cabin crew members on this, I'm good. We're good. That was literally his biggest thing that he did not want to. That was a non-negotiable for him. And the fact that his father said this to Ashley, and it had Ashley just like out of her body. So you had Billy telling you this several times. Then you have his father telling you, oh, before my son left, he did not want to end up with nobody who was a cabin crew member. The signs were there. The signs were there. And then the whole grocery shopping thing, I thought that was just so weird. So remember in one of the episodes, they both went grocery shopping together. And I mean, this lingered on even outside the grocery store. There was a follow-up scene to it. But basically, they're in the grocery store and Billy had a very, very strict diet that he followed. He's a very much, vegetables, whole grains, fruits type of guy. And she's like, she's a pound caker, okay? All right? She like her pound cake.
Don't just have it in the cupboards for the sake of it.
Sorry, babe, I will be having it in the cupboards for the sake of it.
Never.
She like her sweet. She like her honey buns. Okay? She like a little bit of fried chicken. Some biscuits. All right? Like, my sister even talked about how as a child, she basically, formed an eating disorder because there was so much commentary about her looks. And so as an adult, she has been able to eat healthy, but like she's been able to balance eating healthy while also enjoying some zebra cakes or two. And they're in this grocery store just going back and forth. I'm like, what is this? I ain't never seen a couple have such a heated discussion about food. Like, it's really very simple. If you don't eat that, don't eat it. I still eat it. Like, for instance, like my man, he has a shellfish thing. He cannot eat fish. He doesn't eat fish at all. But I am an avid fish eater. I love salmon. I love lobster. I love shrimp. I love snapper. And I eat it all the time. So you know what? When it's time to eat, if we're eating something together, I make him his meats. It's not that deep. But the way they were going back and forth and like even at home having a conversation about this, it was just so deep. So I felt like the flags were all there. But Ashley too, I felt that Ashley was always willing to fight for it. And Billy would just be like, okay. But also Billy, as a grown-ass man, a cabin crew worker being such a big non-negotiable for you, just say no.
I do not.
Just say no. Nobody's holding a gun. Nobody is holding a pew 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 to your head and telling you that you have, like, pas comprendre. I don't understand just not saying no. I don't get it. Because then even there was this scene, this was like their final date before they went down the altar. And Billy brought up her work again. So I just feel like, Ashley, the signs were there. You were told by him several times. You were told by his father it was going to be a problem. But you were always willing to make it work. Javin said something in our interview that I thought was very, very true. That Ashley was more committed to the process instead of the person. And I 100% agree with that. And when I look at this season as well as other seasons, a lot of folks, especially the women, they're so dedicated to the process instead of paying attention to the person. What is this person saying to me? What is this person's actions saying to me? Actions are a language. Actions. Someone's actions, that's a language. They're speaking to you through their actions. Their last conversation that they had before they went to the altar, this is Billy bringing up her work again.
We talked to each other around saying, yes, this can work, it will work.
Yeah.
But it can never have been cemented. We always talked about it being an ongoing thing that we're going to have to battle.
Why are you trying to fight? Why are you trying to fight for this? Why? But also, Billy, just say no. You could have just said no. Moving along to Barta and Jed. Now, we do know that Barta said no at the altar.
I vowed to do all those things. At a time when we're both ready.
But post her saying no, she did talk about how she still wanted to see him. So come to find out, they were still dating each other afterwards. But there were a series of events that took place that didn't sit right with Barta. For instance, I guess, post them not getting married, Jed felt that she shouldn't wear her ring. Drop that in the comments and let me know your thoughts on that. I kind of agree with that. Like, okay, we're not engaged, so why are you still wearing this ring?
Jed had asked me to remove it, and it pissed me off because I said, this is something that I'm doing for you.
You said no at the altar. So why are you still wearing this ring? Like, what are your intentions now? You know? And so I guess apparently there was a time when they went to a gym together and, you know, Jed told her to turn around her ring, but come to find out he did that because his ex-girlfriend was in the building and he didn't want his ex-girlfriend to know that, you know, they had been engaged.
And it was because his ex-girlfriend was in the room, which I didn't know.
I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I do feel like that is an asshole move. But also, again, you said no at the altar. So, like, what?
So I said to her, you don't have to take it off, but just spin it round, because if my ex saw it, all hell breaks loose, because you're not supposed to show that you're married and people ask questions.
Also, come to find out, like, very shortly after, you know, saying no, you moved to Dubai. So it's kind of like, what is going on? What is going on here? I do think it's messed up that Jed, I do think maybe the part of the whole ring thing is kind of messed up because it does make it seem as though Jed might have gone back to his ex and just wasn't, you know, forthcoming about that. So yeah, that is kind of assholey, but I don't know. I just still feel like, girl, what did you want? Because then going back into the season, one thing that caught me off guard when it came to Barta was her commitment to arguing about paying for everything. For instance, when they were at their honeymoon, right? This wasn't an instance about paying, but she felt she should be the driver of the buggy. So there was an instance where they were driving a buggy and she wanted to be the driver. And they even had a conversation about it, like with her talking about, you know, how do you feel about, you know, letting me lead?
How did you find me driving today?
So in previous relationships, were you the driver? Were you wearing the trousers?
100%, yeah.
I just felt like these conversations were so weird because, sister, why are you begging this man to lead? Like, what is this? Jed was always talking about her being soft, him leading, him taking care of her. And she always had a problem with that. Like, that was just so weird to me. There was a scene where she had Jed meet her best friend. And the best friend was talking about how, you know, she felt like she's seen Barta be this happy already. Like, Barta always seems to be extremely happy in these relationships, but then suddenly there's no arguments, there's nothing that happens, but then suddenly, boom, the relationship is done. And she kind of felt that Barta and Jed were headed down the same path because she's seen this happen time and time again. But then lo and behold and lo, at the bachelorette party, Barta was telling her friends that she finally did have an argument with Jed. And what was the argument about? Her wanting to pay for everything.
Look, I just want to make a point. I'm getting the bill tonight. Like, let's not argue about that. And I was like, yeah, sure, no worries. And naturally, when the bill came, I was like, here's my card.
They was down to a dinner. Jed said, hey, you've been paying for a lot of things. Let me pay for this dinner. And you know what she does? She slams her card down. I'm sorry, like, Barta, this is weird. Like, why are you begging to pay for a man? What is this? What is that? Like, I understand she grew up very independent. So have I. But girl, why are we begging to pay for a man's dinner? Begging to pay for the activities that we're doing with a man? Begging to pay bills? Why are we doing that? I don't understand. You have to help me understand parce que je comprends bagay comme ça. Je comprends parce que si nèg la paye, qui te le paye? C'est nèg qui pou paye. There's a saying in Creole, c'est garçon qui paye kay. C'est garçon qui paye kay. That means it's the man that pays the bills. It's the man that pays the bills. Girl, why are you begging to be this man's leader? And so for me, it just felt like watching the show and then watching them at reunion, I don't doubt that Jed is probably a villain. I don't doubt that. But I also saw that Barta had an allegiance to being the man in the relationship. She wanted to wear the pants. She wanted to control everything. And that just was weird to me. Then we get to Katisha and Javin, and honestly, to be honest, like, Javin looked like a saint. Because when you got Jed, Billy, and Cal, you're like, bro, Javin was not the villain. He was not the villain that y'all painted him out to be. Case in point. During my reviews, I pointed out how Javin made things very clear about him not being someone who was going to put maximum effort for it. Okay? When he saw Demila bringing flowers and doing all these things, writing raps, he said that was love bombing. He said this to Katisha, I don't do that. That's just not my thing. And she accepted that. When she would say things to Javin like, hey, you know, Demila's over here doing this, that, and the third. What you gonna do? And he's like, I ain't gonna do nothing. She stayed. So it's like a lot of people, yeah, they want to villainize Javin. Is Javin low effort? Absolutely. And in our interview, I definitely brought that up to him. He's definitely low effort. I feel that Javin feels that he is the prize. But then when you look at the setup of this season, all the men were the prize because, hey, hello, that's what's the setup. That's what's the setup. All the men were begged to be there. Meanwhile, all the women applied. The men were the prize this season. And Javin definitely behaved that way because he was. Let's just keep it a buck. And Katisha treated him like he was the prize as well. Case in point. She literally told Demila that she was choosing him and that her choice was not going to change. And what does she do last minute? Change her choice to the man who put forth no effort.
Did you genuinely think that you could see a future or anything with me?
Yeah, like this is why it was so hard. You were at a really good spot, but I wasn't quite there.
There was even a conversation that we saw between Demila and Javin where, you know, Javin talked about the fact that, you know, he would not want to be with such an indecisive person. Somebody who would just switch up at the drop of a dime like that. And I think that's something that we have to talk about when it comes to Katisha. Like, who is the villain, her or Javin? If Javin's a villain, so is she. Because of the way that she did Demila. But also, she was going through the process. And in her process, she felt that Javin was the better choice. Well, she got what she wanted. She got what she deserved. There was a scene between Javin and Katisha where she talked about, you know, having morning coffee.
I can definitely see this. You bringing me my morning coffee.
Maybe.
And having dinner, and they were at his place. And, you know, he was like, having dinner? Having dinner? Eating together?
Just kind of aligning our schedules so that we can eat together.
It's important to you to
eat
together.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, like, I work for myself. My schedule's all over the place. Like, I'm in bed by 9. I don't think we're going to be able to have dinner, like, all the time. Every night, having dinner together, eating.
Actually, I do work late. Monday till Thursday, from 6 to like 9, I'm not even here. So those are 4 days where we're definitely not going to be eating dinner together. Unless you want to eat late.
Fork and knives move into our mouths together at the same damn time?
Well, that's what I do. I usually eat late anyway, to be
fair. How late?
Because I always train after work as well. Like 9, 10 o'clock.
Oh. I'm in bed by 10 o'clock though.
He told you. He told you what it was. And you still were there. And mind you, this man did not change from the pods. Then there was the whole pod link up and how Javin looked so much happier and bubblier around all the other girls versus when he was with Katisha. Now, that could be an editing thing because Javin did say that there's a lot of great moments that we didn't get to see, and I believe that. However, you know, the conversations with Sophie, inappropriate.
Why can't you sit in the dress?
Unless everyone wants to see my vagina, gentlemen.
No comment.
It comes out very inappropriate. Now, when I talk to him, and even when she talks about it, they both say the same thing, that their conversation was not even about them. It was about things that were happening off camera. So he said this on my interview. I need to understand what you and Sophie had, like, what did y'all have to argue about?
So I can't go into like specifics. I can't like you want to get in trouble. But basically, like, long story short, we was arguing about it was similar to what we were talking about in the mixer, like just behind the scenes producer stuff, some about the inner workings of the show, specifically about something like producers had told her versus what they told me. We had a small back and forth about that, right? And Sophie can be a bit animated. I'm very animated. I love a good argument. So we was just disagreeing about that. She goes into the photo booth and I went in there with her. Mind you, there was no curtain. Everyone could see us. So I'm not justifying it, by the way. I'm not justifying going to the photo booth. That was a wrong move. Going out in the first place was a wrong move.
And Sophie says the same thing in the Reality Pod interview with Ashley Reality and Storytime with Ricky.
Then we're on this night out and he was just like, you're silly if you believe this. And I was like, well, you're silly if you believe that. And then it turned very quickly to, well, I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe. But both of us was getting frustrated that the other person didn't see it from our point of view. So there's never going to be like a groundbreaking story because it's really not exciting. But it was just behind the scenes stuff that happened in the pods. And communication with producers. Like, it really isn't a juicy conversation. And the ironic part of all of this is we actually went into the photo booth so no one could make comment, right? We were like, again, thinking we're both very smart people. We're like, oh, if we go out in the smoking area, everyone's going to be like, we didn't see them. They went in the smoking area for 40 minutes. If we left the venue, same thing. And we were like, if we go in this photo booth that's directly opposite us with no curtain and is actually a larger photo booth than many photo booths out there, no one can be like, they were acting weird.
So they're not lying. They're telling the same thing. But the whole, if I sit down, you're going to see my vagina moment. It just was a lot. It's a lot going on. And I did ask Javin in my interview, hey, all that kikiing that you were doing, did you even at least think about Katisha across the room? And he said no. Let Javin say it. He liked her. He does say that he liked her at the reunion.
I was like, when I was watching it back, like I was questioning, like, did you actually even like me?
Of course I liked you. Like, we was having I enjoyed being with you. Like, that's the simplest way for me to put it.
But I don't think he liked her. I think he was very indifferent. I think he was just doing what the process called him to do. And if he did find his wife, great. If not, cool. Like, I don't think that this was as deep for him as it was for maybe Katisha. Katisha at the reunion said that she felt confused most of the time with Javin. And to be honest, I think that that's at her fault.
More of that, like more vulnerability would have been really nice. Like, I felt very confused the entire time.
Because again, that man he represented himself very, very well, in my opinion. He represented himself very, very well. When somebody tells you who they are and they show you who they are, you have to believe it. You have to believe it. Or else you're wasting your own time. Yeah, he's wasting your time, but you're wasting your own time. Let's just be honest. When they talk about the whole photo booth moment and the whole no curtain thing, to be honest, I was really turned off by the fact that Megan and Kieran didn't take accountability for that.
I get that. But it was the insinuation that you was with them all night. That's what you said.
We did this a year ago.
Yeah, I agree.
I get it. Like, it's a minor detail, but really it's still a big detail because a closed curtain says a lot. Let's just keep it a buck. A closed curtain, a closed door, that says a lot without saying it.
He was like very strong.
I don't know why this is relevant, mate.
I agree. I don't want to have the. I agree. I don't want to have. I don't want to have the argument again either. I don't want to have the.
Also, there are a lot of undertones when you're saying that somebody is arguing. When you're saying that two people are arguing in a photo booth with a closed curtain, when literally by both of their accounts, they were not arguing. And also there are a lot of undertones there with Javin being a black guy. Yes, there are. There are, because what are you arguing with Sophie about? And when you're saying that two people are arguing, the way that it was portrayed, it kind of had like a violent tone to it. Like, so let's just be honest, there are a lot of undertones to that. And I just was disappointed to see Megan and Karen not take accountability for that. I get it. Y'all are the golden couple of the season, but still, like, take accountability for that. And then come to find out, Megan and Javin were actually dating for a while in the pods. So it kind of gives like, okay, you know, were you holding on to something when it came to Javin? I don't know. IDK. But in my opinion, when I look at everybody up there, Javin was not a villain. Cal, Billy, Javin, no. Okay. Also, it was great that Katisha left. Katisha left him, great, as she should. But I don't think that Javin was going to take her all the way down to the altar either, to be honest. I don't. So good for the both of them for being done with each other. Then we get to Megan and Karen. And honestly, like, if they would have said that they broken up, I would have probably just thrown my TV. Like, I was ready to just throw the TV at that point, because what the hell is going on? But come to find out, they're still together.
Please say things are going well.
I'll answer that by saying, can we take a moment to appreciate how hot my wife looks?
Good. Karen and his new hair, don't do it again. He's a handsome man, but don't do that haircut again. It's giving very much mushroom top. Like, what is that mushroom on top of your head? Absolutely not. It's just giving 90s boys band. Like, no ma'am. No sir. His outfit was cute though. And I like that they matched.
Come on, stand up, please.
But I'm not surprised that they stuck it out. They were very, very much attracted to each other from top to bottom, from beginning to end. I also think that their biggest struggle was just saying I love you to each other. I think Karen said he loved her during the honeymoon, and you know, she just was not ready to say it yet.
When you say I love you to someone, obviously the thing you want to hear back is I love you too. So when you don't get that, it's a little bit of egg on the face.
She wanted to say it in her own time, and eventually she did. You know, but even like looking at back through their experience when they both first got their phones back and how they were gawking at each other, social media, like going through each other's Instagram and, oh my God, you look good. Oh no, you look good. No, you look good.
Oh my God, I'm embarrassed.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, not the topless pickies. Here he is.
Like, they were just happy with each other from top to bottom. It just seemed like a very healthy relationship from top to bottom. And Karen very much gives, he hit the jackpot. And I love that for Megan. I love when the man is obsessed with his wife. And that's what it gives when it comes to Karen and Megan. So I really love that. There was a brief conversation with Sophie. I think that conversation was back during the Javin and Katisha segment. And she took accountability for it. Like, she took accountability for the photo booth. And you know, she even said that she's currently in therapy because she definitely gave mean, icy, cold. You know, in my real life, I ain't gotta be picked from a lineup. She very much gave that. She very much gave, I'm bigger than the program. And sister, I think sis got a rude awakening by joining this process.
I did a lot of self-development, watching myself back. And like, even in the past year, I go to therapy.
But anyway, this reunion was a shit show. Shout out to the host. They did a very, very good job. The reunion was only an hour long. I couldn't believe it, but they did a very good job at asking the right questions and not wasting our time with a bunch of bullshit that doesn't matter. We did get a brief talk with Anu and Demila, you know, and that was cute. But other than that, like, I think the reunion was very, very much well paced, and it was good in my opinion. It just was, oh my, like, this was just the most shocking, disappointing Love is Blind reunion I've ever watched. And while, yes, these men are villains, Cal, Billy, I want to say Jed, but it's like the fiance thing, yeah, that was definitely wrong. So while we do have these three villains on stage, the real villain is Chris Colleen's raggedy ass. The real villain is casting. The fact that they casted men who were not really necessarily looking for marriage while casting women who went out of their way to look for marriage, I think that that was disgusting. It was disgusting. It was crazy, wicked work to do. And so, yeah, Love is Blind is the real villain for doing that. Like, y'all set these women up for pure failure this season. It's already hard to cast for these shows, but using that tactic, wicked work. Drop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the Love is Blind UK reunion. And also let me know what other dating shows that you guys are watching so that I can go ahead and review it. There's a show called Are You My First on Hulu. I'm really thinking about reviewing it. Let me know if you've been watching it, but I'm really thinking about reviewing it. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on this video. I'll see y'all in the next one.
These niggas chasing me like waterfalls. Keeping on my truck, look like bricks.